Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In this tutorial, we will explore the SQIDs.NET library, which is an open source tool that lets you generate YouTube-like IDs from numbers. And this is the package name, SQIDs. You can download it via NuGet Package Manager. Now, let's see why exactly we need to do that. What's the problem that we are trying to solve here? In many applications, using sequential IDs can be predictable, and using GeoIDs while providing uniqueness consumes a hefty 16 bytes of storage. This is where the SQIDs.NET library comes to the rescue. As an example, you can see that I have a table called courses, and this courses table has this course ID as an identifier. This is of int type, and you can see the IDs are sequential in nature. Now, if I'm exposing this courses table via API and course ID is being used to retrieve the course details, then anyone can guess that the next course could be 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. And if you have to solve this problem using UID, obviously it will provide you the uniqueness, but it comes with 16 bytes of storage. So that adds up to the whole storage scenario. But if you want best of both worlds, like over here, I want to have the course ID as integer data type, and then I also want that the users should not be able to access the course IDs using the numbers that we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead, they should be provided with a random ID of certain length. So SQIDs.NET exactly does that. And before moving further, let's see the problem in action. So let's run this. Here we have our API running. And if I click on try it out, provide a course ID over here, and click on execute, you can see that the course with ID 1 is coming up, name, price, publisher, everything. And I can easily go ahead and say, okay, give me the course details with course ID 3, and I can execute it over here, and we are getting that result as well. And that's the problem that we are trying to solve, that we should just provide the unique ID so that users should only be able to access that particular course, not guess something and then access that as well. Let's see how SQIDs.NET solves this problem. So SQIDs.NET is pronounced as squids. It's a fantastic utility that makes it easy to create unique YouTube-like IDs for your applications. These IDs are perfect for scenarios where you need user-friendly, shareable identifiers for your content. Now, to install it, as I mentioned, just head over to NuGet Package Manager and search for SQIDs. You can select this and click on Install. If it's already installed, you'll get Uninstall and Update option. Once that's done, you can head over to program.cs file, and here you just need to add it as a singleton service. You specify how the ID needs to be generated. So you specify the alphabet, the collection using which it will generate. So as you can see, it says that custom alphabet that will be used for IDs must contain at least 5 characters. The default is lowercase, uppercase letters, and digits. And then we have this minimum length. What is the minimum length of the random ID that it will generate? So minimum is 6 that we have kept over here, and maximum possible is 255. So once you have added this as a singleton service, next you need to go to controller. Now over here you can see that this is the method that we are calling, and here we are getting the ID. Now in order to get the encrypted or encoded value for this ID, we can make use of a method provided by this library, and that is called encode. And to access those methods, first of all, we need to make use of the SQLIDs in our controller. And to do that, we first of all introduce this over here as SQIDs encoder, and then we pass it to our courses controller, and here we initialize it. And once initialized, you can see that I have changed the data type of our method from int to string, and then we need to have the ID converted to the unique value. And to do that, we have a method which we can make use of, and this is something which you need to do at runtime. You can even save this data, or you can have a mapping sort of thing. Whenever you are generating this URL of a specific course, there you can get the unique value by making use of this method. So I can say SQIDs.encode, and here I can pass what I want to encode. So you can see that it takes a couple of parameters like integer number or an array of numbers. So you can club a couple of numbers together to generate a unique value, and then you can decipher it as well to get individual values as well. So here we'll be making use of int numbers. So what I'll be doing is I'll be saying id, and here let's say we have var masked id equals this value. So id as of now is a string. So what we are trying to do over here is get an encoded value. So here I'm just passing course id 1 and I'll get the encoded id of that. So let's get that first. So here you can see the encoded value for course id 1 is this. So let's copy this value and close it now. So using the sqids.encode method for course id 1, we now have an encoded value. Let's comment it over here, and after this what we'll do is this is the value that we will be passing over here via our API, and using this we will be accessing our specific course. And to do that we are simply passing this id over here in sqids decode method. So we get the value that is coming from the API and we pass it over here, we decode it and actually get the course number, and that is then passed over here. Let's run this and see it in action. So I'll be copying this code here, pasting it over here, clicking on execute. So here now we have the mapped ID, and this is returning integer as you can see. So this is a string, this is integer, and that's directly passed over here. And now if I click on continue, I'll be able to see the result coming up over here for course id 1. So this is something which you can do in your code or in your application, where you generate these uniquely identifying URLs for each course types or whatever your application data is comprised of. So just to conclude, the sqids.net library is a powerful tool that simplifies the process of generating YouTube-like IDs. With its easy integration into your .NET application, you can enhance your user experience and shareability while efficiently using only 4 bytes of storage. Now you can learn more about sqids by visiting this link over here. So we have sqids.org/.net, and you can head over to GitHub and look at the documentation, how it's working with .NET 6 and with .NET 7 and onwards. With .NET 7, I think they have just made one change where when you are initializing it, you can pass the data type, and this data type could be long, byte, and short. If it's lower than .NET 7, you only get int support, and that's the reason why over here in the code you can see that we are not passing any data type. We are just saying sqids encoder. So it's returning int by default. In .NET 7, you have the option to configure what exactly you want it to be, integer or something else. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're working with ASP.NET 7 onwards, and if you're working on ASP.NET 6.